Good morning, FlossTube. My name is Leanne, and I am leann.stitches here on YouTube and on Instagram, and this is my fourth FlossTube video. I just want to say thank you for all of the comments and the likes and the subscribes over the past week, especially all of you who reached out about my daughter's Valentine's coupon book. She was really excited that you guys loved it, and she's just been over the moon, and she actually wants me to take her down to the store and get her a kids video camera that she's been saving up for so she can start her own YouTube channel. I think she wants to talk about her toys and things like that. So I just want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you how much. Once again, it was a busy week here with stitching, but not a lot that I can show you because a lot of it was for model stitching for work. And I finished the second of 3 projects, and I started the third one this morning, and I'm about halfway done. It's a really small, just little extra. And so hopefully next week I'll get to take a little reprieve and we'll get to do a lot more of the personal stitching, so I have more to show you, and hopefully somewhere around Valentine's Day I'll get to show you all of the model stitching that I've been doing as well. So if you haven't been here before, I just want to say hi and welcome. And this is my channel mostly about cross stitch. Occasionally I might show a little bit of knitting or crochet, but I really don't do much of that right now. I work a lot on swatches just to show different colorways of things that I've dyed, but who knows, maybe eventually I'll have something to show about that too. I did get a question after my last FlossTube video about the wedding dress that I made, and if I can figure out how to edit in a photo, I will definitely show you that. I'm pretty proud of it, even if it did kind of make me lose my knitting mojo for a while, but hey, I got cross stitch out of the deal, so I'm not going to complain. Anyway, let's get to the stitching. The first piece I worked on was Marvel Superheroes, because as I've said before, I have a really big goal on this piece, and so every Saturday I am doing this Superhero Saturday Sal, and Sal means stitch along, and so I'm just stitching on my Marvel Heroes piece every Saturday, so I can try to meet that crazy goal that I've set. As I've said, it's a gift for my husband, and I would really like to finish it sooner rather than later. So I can have it framed and hang it in his office. So this is where I'm at this week. I'm still just working on the diagonal. I started down here and I came up this way, and then I started back down here. Normally I would go back down this way and just keep zigzagging, but after like 3 or 4 squares of all of this really heavy confetti, I decided I want to go green again, and I've really been wanting to work on Hulk the entire time since I started this, and so I came back down here and did another square of Hulk. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it again. I've been stitching on it every Saturday for the Superhero Saturday Sal, and then in addition to that, probably about 3 or 4 days a week, I try to pull it out and put just 30 minutes in on it, and occasionally I'll stretch that out into an hour if I'm about to finish a block, or I'm finishing out all my parked threads, and then I'll finish out all of those and then save the starting new threads for the next time. So I've been getting a lot of progress on that. I think I stitched, let me see I think I got about 800 stitches in on that this week, which was pretty exciting. And I'm using that for the 21,000 stitches in 2021 for full coverage. And then I am also using it for the full coverage challenge in Magical Stitches. So I'm hoping that by combining those 2 challenges, it will also help me get a lot of progress in on that. The next piece I worked on was Consider the Lilies. And this is by Heartstring Samplery. And I used this for an Enchanted stitching monthly task, and it was 500 stitches on a piece that saved you. And the reason why I chose it is because it references the Bible verse of Consider the lilies, they neither toil nor spin. And that's a verse that, it's one of my favorite ones that really just helps calm me when I have a lot of anxiety. mostly work anxiety, because it's just saying, you know, just keep going and doing what you're doing, and God will take care of you. So that's why I say this is a piece that has saved me. So here's that. And the part that I worked on this week was this flower pot right here. And it actually spans 4 pages, so it took me quite a while to get it done. And by the time I was done, I think I needed like 20 more stitches or something. So I worked on that little hedgehog guy right there, and he was just a fun little critter to do. So I've officially finished the first page, including all of the places where it moves on to the next page, and so I'm looking forward to starting the second page on that. The third piece I pulled out was for another Enchanted stitching piece, another I can talk really, I swear. Enchanted stitching challenge. It was one of the weekly challenges, and it was to stitch on a piece that had rope. And in Grandma's room up here, I don't know how clearly you can see it, right up there is a rope. And this isn't the full product image, obviously, because all of the rooms aren't filled out, but I haven't been able to find one that has all of the rooms filled out. So I'm just going with this one. Anyway, I am working on this big tree right here. And I'm just working on this portion of it because I decided that I wanted to go floor by floor on this. And so I'm working on this floor with Grandma. And so I'm just working on that part of the tree. And I filled in this branch here, and then I started working on this one. I think I got all of that in there, and then started in on that branch right there. So it's pretty quick stitching because it's all just 938 and really dark brown, and it's just 2 stitches, 3 stitch rows. So it goes pretty fast. And I got a little over 250 stitches done on that to reach the royal level of points. Enchanted stitching lets you choose how many stitches you want to do on each challenge, and then the more stitches you do, the more points you get. So I usually shoot for the royal level, which is 250 stitches per task, just because I like to get a good bit done before I start stitching on something else. The fourth piece I worked on, and I actually worked on this just about every day this week, trying to get 1,600 stitches done, is this Dimensions Gold Ornament, and it's a church with carolers out front. And this is part of the set of Dimensions Gold Ornaments that was the very first cross stitch project I started when I started stitching again this year, or last year. And I just got the kit on Amazon. I did receive a question about where I bought it. And it comes with 6 ornaments. And I actually want to show you the ones that I finished a little bit later. But here's this one. And I only had 200 stitches when I started, because I started it at the end of last year for in preparation for No New Starts 2021. And you had to have 200 stitches to qualify it as a WIP, which means work in progress. And after 1,600 stitches this week, that's where I am. So I really got a lot done. I have actually almost finished all of the full crosses. Most of what I have left is the sky and the snow, and those are all going to be half crosses. Over here, there's some more of this greenery. And then once I finish that, and I think I still have the faces and the hands on the carolers. And then once that's done, it's all just going to be half stitches and then back stitching. So I really wasn't expecting to get quite that much done. I knew 1,600 stitches was a lot on a piece this small, but I was really excited to see exactly how much it turned out to be. So yeah, I used this for an Enchanted stitching monthly task. Like I said, it was 1,600 stitches, and it could be on any piece, and you got 4 bonus points if you could tie it somehow to Notre Dame. So since Notre Dame is a church or a cathedral, and that's a church, that's how I tied it in for the bonus points. So yeah, I think it took me 4 or 5 nights to get those 1,600 stitches in, on top of my model stitching and my 30 minutes to an hour on Marvel Heroes. So that's another reason why I don't have a ton of projects to show today, is because I did so many stitches on that. The last project I worked on this week is Mini Shoot the Moon. It's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I used this one for another Enchanted Stitching Challenge. One of the weekly challenges was 250 stitches, again for that royal level, on a piece with something sharp or pointy. And since she's holding a bow and she's shooting at the moon, that would be an arrow would be pointy. So I'm just working in the bottom corner on all of the black. I thought it would be fun to see all that outlining in the piece, and it would be something simple to pick up and work on. And so I worked up here and I finished out this loop right there, which is part of the bushes, and then I started to do this part, and it's going to loop around again when I get done. And so I think it's 282 stitches on that. And it also actually qualifies for a No New Starts 2021 challenge, where we're doing the zodiac signs, and this month we're working on Aquarius, and I guess the stone for that is amethyst. So I chose that piece to represent amethyst because there's a lot of purple in it. So that's all of the stitching I did that I can show you. So I guess my plans for this week is today's Saturday, so I'm going to work on my Marvel Heroes piece, and I've been averaging about 500 stitches every Saturday, so I'm going to see if I can go ahead and get that done again today. The next little block I have is the Hulk's hair, and it's really just a lot of 939, so I'm hoping I can get that first 100 stitches done super fast, and maybe I'll get past 500. But I also have to finish up that last model stitching, and so I need to do that. I'm going to try to be disciplined and get that done before I start working on Marvel. And then I also am going to have to FFO them, which means FFO means fully finished object. So I need to iron them and press them and sew them and photograph them for this pattern that I'm trying to get out for work. So those are my plans for today. For the rest of the week, I haven't done Magical Stitches homework yet, which is 1,000 stitches on your oldest whip. And my oldest whip is this, it's another Dimensions Gold Ornament, and it's called, actually I have the paper here, it's Noelle's Bakery. And I mentioned, oh, I didn't get the sheet, I guess because it's mostly full, or it's mostly done. I mentioned how right here is where the backstitching for Noelle's Bakery goes, and it's spelled Noel''s, and I really want to see if I can find an alphabet where I can chart it to say Noelle''s, because that's how we spell my daughter's name, but I'm not sure there's enough room in that tiny space, so I'm going to see what I can do. But so I've got some backstitching on that to do, and then since I don't have 1,000 stitches on that piece left, especially because backstitching only counts for half a stitch, my next oldest whip is Beauty and the Beast, and I am working down here. Last time I worked on this sash, and I started working on Fifi the maid. She is right there. Yeah, right there. And I started working on Mrs. Potts. So I'm going to try to finish out that stitching, and then after I get those two done, I get to start filling in with all the black and finish out that page. So I'm hoping I can get those two done tomorrow so that I can finish out the homework before the new week begins. And then I've been trying to get back to Ever After for a couple of weeks now. And we're using it for the bookshelf challenge for Full Coverage Fanatics, where they pick a genre every month, and this month is classics. And so Pride and Prejudice has 188 pages, and so in order to stitch that book, we stitch 1,880 stitches, which is 188 times 10, and I am 1,150 stitches in, so I just need another 700-ish stitches, and it's also the last square I need for a bingo in Full Coverage Fanatics bingo. I'm using it for penalty stitches for a new start, and so I need 850 more stitches, and then I get this bingo. So that's the next piece I'm hoping to pull out so I can finish that square and get my bingo. And then after that, I want to work on castles in the air again. And I'm using this for that Aquarius challenge in No New Starts to satisfy the air one. Sorry for the pause. I was looking at my notes. So Aquarius is an air sign, and so this is castles in the air, so I figured that fit there. And then also I'm using it for enchanted stitching for something that has a secret within the design. And Long Dog Samplers, there's just so many really cool elements in each pattern. And I think you could look at it every day and find something new. So there's lots of secrets within this pattern. And I did get a comment about the fabric and the floss choice that I made. Let me make sure I'm showing this right side up because I like to show it upside down for some reason. So there's where I'm at right now. And the fabric is showing pretty true to color. It's not showing quite all of the teal color, but it is a really deep dark teal. It's probably the first piece of fabric I ever put in the dye pot when I decided that I wanted to learn how to dye floss and fabric. And so I love that color. Everything in my house is turquoise or teal. And so I just figured I would stitch on that to see how it looked. And because it's really, I wouldn't call it an oopsie, but it was really before I learned different techniques of how to get different modeling happening. And so I figured I'd just go ahead and stitch on it myself. And then I'm using 3865 DMC, which is it's not quite white. It's almost in between white and ecru, where it's got a little bit of that yellow of ecru, but not quite as much to make it that off-white. And I really like the combination. I'm really happy with it. The other thing I wanted to show you today was, since I worked so much on the ornaments and I have plans for the ornaments, is I thought I would show you the two that I've finished so far. And this first one is Rudolph's Tree Farm. And as you can see, I miscounted and I've only got about a block and a half on the edge there for finishing. And I'm really not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet because they're supposed to be stitched into ornaments. But what happened was I miscounted when I started at the center. I somehow miscounted. It was before I really knew about gridding. So I obviously had way too much room over here. And then, again, because I didn't know anything about gridding, everything ended up shifting that way a couple of stitches. And I really, as I went over the roof, I really had to figure out how to even it all up so that it still looked okay. And so I was sweating big time as I stitched over this way and figured out that I only had, I think it's actually 2.5 blocks left. And so I'm just hoping I can figure out a way to make it work into an ornament. And if not, it's a learning experience, right? So for the second ornament I did, I noticed the grid lines on the pattern and it was full coverage. So I thought, well, I'll just draw the lines on the fabric and they'll never show because I'll stitch over them. And then any lines that came out above the pattern wouldn't show because it's going to be finished into an ornament right up to the edge. And I wasn't thinking about right in here where it's just one stranded half stitches in white. And so my pen marks show through. So I'm going to try to soak it in some OxyClean and see if I can get some of those pen marks out. And if not, again, hey, it's a learning experience, right? So that's why when you see my ones that I'm stitching now that I started at the end of the year, I gridded it with Sulky Floss. And of course, the first one that I started in the wrong place. So all my gridding is useless because I'm like 3 rows up. And so I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with it yet. That's why I've been working on the church and the Kringle's toy store, because those two are gridded right. I started them right. It's that third one that I either need to pull out all the gridding and just take my chances, or just remember that I screwed up when I started it, and I started it 3 or 4 rows too high, I think, so none of the gridding matches up. But I don't think I trust myself enough to remember that when I'm stitching, and I will probably pull out the gridding and redo it. The other question I had that I just wanted to address really fast is someone commented on my Floss Girl needle minder that I have here in the Marvel Heroes piece, and asking where I got it. And I did get it at Hobby Lobby. That's really the only craft store that we have here. We do have a Michael's, but it's a little bit farther away, and since I already have to drive 45 minutes to get to Hobby Lobby, that's usually where I end up going. So I don't know if any other stores carry it. The concern was shipping to Canada, which Hobby Lobby doesn't do, but I do believe it's one of Hobby Lobby's in-house brands. So I don't know if that's available anywhere else. That's really all I have for this week. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll visit me again next week. Like I said, hopefully I will have a little more to show without having that model stitching. I do have another model stitch waiting in the wings, but I'm giving myself a week break before I dive into that, just so I can focus on the fun side of it instead of the work side of it. So yeah, I hope you have a great week. And whatever you do this week, I hope you lead with love. Thanks.